Disclosure requirements. Some of the disclosure requirements we deal with are local or maybe even state requirements. Others are federal, like the lead-based paint disclosure requirement. And that is a federal act that all homes built before 1978 require a lead-based paint disclosure document to go with it. In fact, let's take a look both from a buyer's perspective and a seller's perspective how that lead-based paint disclosure may come into play.
Because you're interested in an older home, there are some hazards that you need to be aware of regarding lead-based paint and other lead hazards you need to be aware of.
Like what? What if our house has lead paint?
It is possible. Are you aware of the hazards around lead-based paint?
No.
No, we're not. What are they?
Sure. Well, children younger than the age of 6 are most vulnerable to lead. Exposure to lead can cause learning disabilities, anemia, and other health problems. Lead dust can be ingested from the hands of a crawling infant, inhaled by any occupant of a structure, or ingested from the water supply because of lead pipes or lead solder. Soil and groundwater may be contaminated by everything from lead plumbing in leaking landfills to discarded skeets and bullets from an old shooting range. High levels of lead have been found in the soil near waste-energy incinerators.
That sounds terrible. What if our home has lead-based paint?
While the law does require sellers to disclose any known lead-based paint hazards for homes built before 1978, so you will have a disclosure form from the sellers addressing this. As buyers, you will have up to 10 days to conduct a risk assessment or inspection for the presence of lead-based paint hazards. Additionally, I'm required to provide you with this pamphlet for the EPA with more information on lead hazards.
Okay. So I know we've had a lot of paperwork today. We do have one last disclosure to talk about, and that's the lead-based paint disclosure, but it doesn't apply to your home because it's a newer home.
Oh, well, could you explain to me what it would mean if this was an older home?
Sure, if it was built before 1978, we would be required to fill out this form to disclose the presence of lead-based paint to potential buyers. But in this situation, all we have to do is check the box here that says your house was not built before 1978.
Oh, well, that seems easy enough.
Sure. And if in the future you were to be buying a home that was an older home built before 1978, I would of course make sure you got that disclosure from the seller about lead-based paint, and I would also be required to provide you with a pamphlet from the EPA on lead hazards.
Oh, okay.
So the thing to remember here is any home built before 1978 must have a lead-based paint disclosure requirement attached to the deal, to the transaction, so both the buyer and the seller are aware of that lead-based paint disclosure requirement.